Hey there, everyone. Welcome. This is Lotus with Art of Sacred Embodiment. Today, I want to talk a little bit about receptivity. And when we talk in these videos, we're always coming from the embodiment perspective. And that embodiment perspective becomes that lived experience of, our life, but also the awakening process and those tiny little nuances that are easily overlooked if we're not actually focusing on how am I landing my life, my lessons, the wisdom in my body, so that I'm actually living from those new perspectives, from that new consciousness. Receptivity is something that is not talked about a whole lot in general, and I find it personally to be a really, really core, deep, important piece for our ability to transform. Not just grow and change, definitely that, but to transform. Receptivity requires that feminine connection. First of all, receptivity is an expression of our inner feminine, and it's a bringing in. It's a receiving. It is an accepting. It's a knowing that I've seen this, I've felt this, I've learned this, and now I'm receiving it deeply, consciously, as just part of my new inner landscape. So we're going to tease that apart a little bit more. The masculine, right? The masculine aspect of us, which is more action-oriented, it is the doer. We pay attention to what's being done, right? Did I do a good job at that? Did I succeed at that? Did I hit my goal? How am I moving through the world? How am I moving out, right? All of this is outward. How am I moving even through my emotions? Am I aware of them? Am I processing them? Am I attuning to them? All of that is part of that fire and air alchemy. And we tend to know these things through the intellect. We tend to go, okay, yes, I hit my goal. Boom, check, right? Check this off the list. Check this off the list. We're checking it off the list. We're knowing it intellectually. And we might even be feeling inwardly, right? Like, yeah, that was awesome. I rock. That worked. Perfect. Now that is a bit of receptivity that's happening. True receptivity takes place in the body. Okay? It takes place through what we could call the mother mind, which is at the back of the skull. And it's within that cerebellum consciousness, which connects us to the brain of the entire body. And this is part of the embodiment. When we know something, it's just in the head. That's only one part of the, of what we're grokking. But to gain the wisdom of whatever it is, we have to absorb it into the body, into the cellular structure, into our fibers, right? Because this is where all of our stuff is anyway. That's saying the issues are in the tissues. That usually means, my woundings are in the tissues. Those storylines, those thought processes, those emotional patterns are in the tissues. And so we work through embodiment practices. We work with yoga. We work with dance. We work with massages. But we have to add that piece of consciousness. Even as we're working through the tissues, right? We have to be receiving the willingness. We have to be in that feminine state, like, I'm willing. I'm willing to move this out. I'm willing to just be present with the potentials of what I know are in here. I don't even want to say the potentials. That's not the right word. I want to say we want to know that these seeds are active in here. These seeds of consciousness that carry our shadow, our wounding, our sadness, our grief, our fear, all of that. So we might be getting a massage to move these things out, but we still want to hold a level of consciousness in this process, because that is this alchemy simultaneous between the inner and the outer, the feminine and the masculine, the elements of water and earth, right? That we're moving, we're receiving, we know this is here. We know it in our body because we feel it. We live it. We live the discomfort because it's wired. So then we do things to move things out and through. And then we stay present with it. Yes, moving it out, right? And we give that permission. We say, this is what's happening. This is the choices that I'm making. So I'm hoping that's making sense. So then that's just part of that as well. We want to make sure that what lands in our cells, in our tissues, is then the new truth that we have been illuminated with, that we have seen, that we have felt, that we now know with our mind, but we're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a full body wisdom of this knowing that this is the true, right? From Cloud Atlas, what's the true? It's the true. So this is the shift in consciousness. Because we know something just within the intellect, we know it, but that is a state of consciousness. It's sort of like, beep, the radar goes, oh, beep, I can shift my consciousness, be a little bit more aware, cognitively. But we want to know it. We want to feel the deep wisdom of it in the body, where it's like, oh yeah, my whole being has shifted, has transformed. My life, based on this new consciousness, will be forever changed, altered, evolved. One of the best ways to bring this in, this receptive state, is through really relaxing into your own water and your own earth, relaxing into your feminine. And I'm going to go into what I did a video the other day about your inner guru is trying to guide you. Because I'm talking about that non-doing space. But I'm talking about it now elementally, where we can sit back and really absorb what shift has happened, what new information that we've had. Information has to be digested literally through the gut. It has to be assimilated. It has to be broken down. It has to be, moved through all of the cells so that it becomes us, just like any healthy food that we are eating, ideally, right? It becomes us. It becomes our vitality. It becomes our energy. It becomes the light that lives through us. Receptivity does the same thing. And it allows us to land in a new consciousness, perhaps even a whole new timeline of our reality. And let's break this down into like one of the most important and sometimes challenging areas. When we're working with self-acceptance and self-love, we want to take whatever shadow or place where we're in self-rejection, right? Where we're negating oneself, where I'm judging myself, where I'm dividing myself from me by rejecting who I am based on something I don't like about myself, something that is deemed wrong or bad or shameful. I'm going to take something really simple, and I use this example a lot, so everyone who already works with me, you'll know this example. So for me, one of my biggest challenges was coming to terms with how animated I am, right? How intense I can be, especially when I'm teaching classes. Like, I get really intense. I carry a lot of energy. I'm holding a lot of energy. And so that intensity, when I would watch myself back on video, whoa, I would just, in the beginning, I had so many judgments about how active my body was, how many facial expressions that, my face would make, and just how intense my energy was, how loud I would get. And it was that strong masculine, because when I'm teaching in that way, it is my masculine, it is my fire and my air. And it's part of what carries the transmission of what I'm offering. But I've had a lot of judgment about it. I've had a lot of negating it and rejecting that part of me, and kind of really struggling with, feeling really vulnerable with it as well. Like, oh my gosh, is everybody else feeling like this? Am I overwhelming people? Do they think I look like a crazy person? Right? Like all of these storylines that we have that go on. Or, oh my gosh, you're so intense, because I was told that a lot when I was young in a way that didn't make me feel good, right? It felt like a judgment and that there was something wrong with me. So it's taken a lot to unwind that. How I've had to unwind it is to first recognize what I'm feeling about it. Recognize, oh, I have judgment here. Oh, I have a little bit of embarrassment here. I also have a little bit of maybe shame here. Why can't I control myself, right? That type of thing. Why can't I be more grounded? Why can't I be, right? Comparisons. And as all that did was separate me more from myself and keep me from receiving the truth of who I am. A part of me that is just what shows up. And if I don't come to terms and really receive who it is that's showing up, without judging it or labeling it, but like really go, oh, I have to just accept this about myself and start to let go of the judgment, because I realize it's a form of self-rejection, and we could even go so far as self-loathing. Nobody wants to feel that about ourselves, but we walk around feeling like that about ourselves a lot. So first was self-acceptance. Okay, this is it. I'd have to look at myself on video. I would have to breathe through it. I would have to listen to my stories to become really aware. And then I would start questioning my stories. Is this true? Right? Am I too intense? Well, okay, maybe for some people. Am I talking too fast? Maybe for some people. Am I way too animated? Maybe for some people. For others, it may be engaging, it may keep the attention, it may, help to lift their spirits and like energize them, all sorts of different ways. But I had to open up my own awareness to myself and start looking through different lenses. Acceptance was the doorway. No judgment. Acceptance opened the door to myself. So then I would need to just really sit with that and feel that part of me and breathe in. Okay, this is a part of how I show up. I want to love myself. So I'm just going to love this expression that comes through me. And I'm going to accept it. I'm going to receive it with that love. And I can tweak. After I've accepted, after I've received, then I can move the energy in a different direction that feels more in alignment. Not better, because I'm bad. But what is that optimal alignment that I want to feel in my body? What is the optimal experience, right, that I would like to be able to hold the space for others in as part of service? Then that gives time to explore and recognize, how do I need to work more consciously with my energy, with my elemental expressions? This is the relational intimacy with self. Deepening my own energetic interconnection as if I'm a different person. Same person, but a different part of me. And then over time, right, I learn how to work elementally to the best of my ability, what is actually appropriate for my system. And then moving into self-love and allowing myself to recognize, this has been chosen. All of this has been chosen, both for me to grow and evolve and for me to recognize that there's perfection. I'm perfect. And start paying attention to those subtler aspects and just receiving me, resting back into my water and my earth, and allowing myself to be who I am, and knowing that not everybody is going to resonate. It's okay. I don't need everybody to, because I now am resonating with me. You see, I now have fallen in love with this part of me. So when I receive myself, not just up here, but then I continue to take myself in. I continue to take in who I am as I am. Acknowledge it, accept it, align it as needed, but ultimately really receive, wow, okay, who I am comes through these expressions, and I appreciate them. I don't need, the more I'm here, the less I need others to appreciate me, to resonate with me, to agree with me, to, not feel overwhelmed in my presence sometimes. All of that becomes healed because I'm giving that to me. I love me. I've received me. So we can work with this in so many ways. What happens when we don't really grok and digest and move our awarenesses, our wisdom, or rather allow it to become wisdom through the body, there's always going to be an element of lack. Lack is always going to show up to show us, oh, I'm needing to receive something much deeper here. I'm needing to really sit with and be with in an open spaciousness through non-doing. Because when I'm in non-doing, my vessel is open and everything can swim around, repattern the old issues in the tissues, in the bones, in all the cells, so that then I know myself not from this place of judgment or self-criticism. I know myself now from, wow, okay, I have a lot of energy and it really serves the people that it serves. And that's what I'm here for, to serve. But I'm also here to start with myself, because that's how I enter into the higher levels of service over and over. That's the well of wisdom that we all have an opportunity then to bring out into the world, because it's a lived experience. It's embodied, and it's a shift in whole being consciousness, not just an idea, right? Not just a wannabe and hoping that. And I can set this goal and I'm just going to keep like striving and trying. Striving and trying is coming at life with only the masculine. And, we can beat ourselves up a lot with that. And I think that most and more of us are finding, and probably most of you here are recognizing, we've got to have this blend. The feminine is our healer. She is the part of us that holds that space, that's gentle with us, that allows the deeper reflection. And all of this happens through deeper receptivity. And I usually align it in that way. Acceptance first. Acceptance doesn't mean acquiescing. It doesn't mean making something right in our life that truly does feel wrong for us. But acceptance opens the door for deeper exploration and curiosity, rather than black and white, right, wrong thinking. Explore, be curious, be open, find compassion, find different perspectives, and then refine what your truth is and how to cultivate that. Embodiment is subtle. Embodiment requires subtle awareness, honing and cultivating more subtle awareness in the inner landscapes of our being. So we actually can grow an amazing, powerful, radiant garden, right? Otherwise, lack keeps popping up. So everybody has heard, if you're wanting abundance, I like the word flourishing personally, if you're wanting flourishing, then we already have to be receiving what is flourishing now, right? We already need to be, wow, look at the abundance all around me. Look at the green in the trees and the songs of the birds and the beautiful home that I love. The car that carries me from point A to point B, the good, healthy food that I get to eat, that I choose to eat, the abundance and the flourishing that comes from whatever connections I really value, from my family, whatever those things are, right? Or from the amount of space and solitude, if you're an introvert like me, that I love, that I've co-created my life in a way that I have this beautiful balance, and I love that, right? That supports me, that holds me steady, that aligns me with my natural time, sacred rhythm. So I have to be in abundance of all of that, for all of the people who I'm able to serve and help, and the exchanges that we have, right? So that's part of this process. We have to accept that abundance is here, that flourishing is here. We have to receive it down into ourselves so that our consciousness holds it, that even if there's a little lack over here, we're still growing in abundance. And guess what? This lack will sort of be filled from within. And then we're refining and, we're acclimating and we're making the choices appropriate along the way. We've accepted that maybe I need to step forward in different ways. I need to do things differently, right? We get to adjust, but hold what is and take time to hold it in stillness, not meditation only. In gazing into nature, we cannot escape the truth of abundance when we are in nature. It's right there. The codes are right there. Breathe it in and watch. Just watch. Just be and receive. Allow the divine to do the deeper work through you, but you've got to create the sacred space for that grace to flow, to anchor, to reorganize and reorient. So receptivity, it's the secret key that I love. So I hope that you found this helpful and that you can begin working with it as well. You can always find me at lotuslindley.net. Have a great day of receptivity of all the magic and beauty in your life now, and the magic and beauty that you are just as you are now. Much love. Bye-bye.